kinds of different scales too. You know, a river herring, say, may be immigrating and emigrating from a river to just off the coast, but a shark, like you guys have heard about Mary Lee, the great white, I think she was tagged somewhere down in Florida or in the Caribbean somewhere, and she's migrated all the way up to as far as Long Island, and they start heading back south. And that's actually another kind of tag that they put on her, where they were able to actually locate her. But you know, just an example of some of these animals are traveling, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of miles. So it makes managing them that much harder. And because of that, we need to get together with other states when we get this information.
Excuse the interruption. This afternoon, sporting events have been canceled. That is softball, baseball, and track and field. All activities are canceled for those
I guess they
sports
think it's
today.
gonna rain.
Thank you. These announcements will be made again at the end of the day.
What time is it?
103.
So all the states are collecting all this information, then we get together and we decide what's best for the coast as a whole. Because it's not one individual state that's dealing with it. There's no New Jersey fish, there's no New York fish, you know, it's the whole coast's fish. So that's another really important part of what we do. Did I miss anything? I think I got it all.
Yep.
Yeah.
How far? Oh, you go.
When you were
Sorry,
talking,
Dave. What's up?
Oh, me?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay. How far away have you gone for like sampling and stuff? Like, as far as you've been?
Actually this April, one of the farthest I've been out is one of those way down south off Delaware Bay, all the way to the east. That's almost like 25 miles out. So that's about as far as we go though. You had a question?
the other day, a couple weeks ago, when it started to warm up, we were striker fishing, and off the back of the Duke of Fluke, we were fishing almost Duke of Fluke, but it went past, and off the back there was like a 14 or 15 foot gray white eating off all the chum.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was.
How far off was that?
It was like maybe 100 feet off the bulkhead. It was
Yeah.
big.
Some of these big animals, some of these big sharks even, they're right off the shore.
I wonder if
And
it was
99%
Mary
of them
Lee.
you don't have to worry about. You know, they're usually really docile creatures, but you know, there's some species out there that you really gotta watch out for. Yeah.
Have you ever caught like a fish that you've never heard or seen about? Like, no.
Absolutely. Yep. It doesn't happen, you know, constantly. It's not every sample that we take, but you know, are you talking about discovering new species or? No, not new species, but every once in a while we'll get species that either we've never caught here or we know there are other places they don't belong here, and you know whether or not that's random chance because a lot of stuff gets caught up in the Gulf Stream sometimes. Sometimes we'll get some tropical fishes that get brought up, but they don't necessarily belong here, but the conditions weren't right and they kind of got trapped up here. So we'll get some of those, and then sometimes we get stuff that we can't even explain why it's here. You know, it's really odd, but it's cool too. Yeah.
Have you ever caught a great white shark?
We have. Yep. He's about this long.
Big.
And, we looked at we did a little bit of research. It was our first great white ever, and he was probably just born. So that's pretty interesting. Not only that we caught a great white off the coast of New Jersey, which obviously they're doing, you know, as they've been following Mary Lee, but they're also spawning off New Jersey, or at least in the area. So that's pretty cool too. Yeah.
You said that it was really cold, like this time of the year for than it like usually is.
Yeah.
In the past, and in the winter, like, did you go out fishing in the winter?
Yep. Yeah. So we go out. Yep.
Was it colder in the winter than it usually is too this year?
I wouldn't say colder than it usually is. I've certainly been out there when it's been colder than this winter was. I thought it was actually a relatively mild winter. I've been out there a couple Januaries. I think the first January I was out, the deck hands had to constantly be out on deck on the boat, chipping ice off the boat. Otherwise it gets too heavy. Yeah.
What would you say the most rare thing you've caught is?
I'm sorry, second.
What's the most rare thing you've seen?
The most rare thing. We catch an occasional sea turtle. Got a couple pictures of them. We caught before my time, they caught a really big loggerhead sea turtle, which is bigger than one of your tables here.
Wow.
Several hundred pounds. They were trying to, when we get a sea turtle on deck, so turtles need to breathe air.
So do you
Um,
put like a thing in its mouth?
We don't, no. But what we need to do is make sure that they don't have any water in the lungs, because when they get trapped in the net, obviously they can't get out of the water to breathe. So, we make sure that they're resuscitating all the water drains out of their lungs before we put them back in the water, so we, they have a better chance that they're gonna live. They usually do fine, as far as we know. Yeah.
What was the biggest turtle we caught?
Probably that loggerhead, when he was a few hundred pounds.
When you like sort out the fish that you caught through the net, do they like die or something? Because the
A lot of the little stuff does, but for the most part, a lot of the stuff that we catch in bulk is bigger stuff like the skates, the rays, the stingrays, the sharks. All that stuff seems to do really well out of the water. It may be out of the water an hour, 2 hours sometimes, and I would say probably 90% of that stuff does just fine. Yeah. So I got a bunch of specimens that have been preserved here. These are all real fish, but they've undergone a process that replaces all the water in their bodies with silicone rubber. So have any of you been to any of the bodies exhibits in the country? They've done the same thing with animals, people, where they're permanently preserved animals, but all the tissue is the actual tissue. So this is a real, does anyone know what this is?
No, that's a shark.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, shark bass.
Yeah, it's a yellow striped bass. It's probably a couple-year-old striped bass. So not an eating size really, but still the original fish. We have caught a dead dolphin. Yeah, one that had been dead a while. So if you guys remember when they were having problems a few years ago when that disease was going around, yeah, not long after that we caught one, but we never caught a live dolphin. A lot of the most of the bigger stuff tends to be really fast. A lot of the faster fishes just swim out of the way of our net. But it's interesting that they put video cameras on the insides of fishing nets like ours. We've tried it, but we can't see anything but in clear water. You can see some of the fish as the net comes along, they try to outrun it, so they're swimming and they're swimming, but the net's going too fast for them, eventually they fall back to the net.
Like that's